Well, the purpose of this little lesson is to just show you some useful features of the Turing environment that we're going to be using here. So some features that are useful. Okay. First thing we probably want to do now that we've typed some text in here is we want to save this thing. So I'm going to save this as, and you can't see the save window popping up here, but I'm going to save this as useful stuff. Okay. And you can see now the name of it popping up there at the top. Okay. And if I want to save it as I go on, let's say I hit a couple more lines in there and I want to save it, I can just use Control S to save it really quickly here. The first useful feature is the fact that the text in this window is color-coded. So we've got color coding of text. Comments, what I'm typing right now, appear as green. Now comments are just a way of putting some text into your program that is not going to be executed by the compiler. So it's a way of putting information about how the program works into your program, or things like that. So any line that starts with a percent symbol is a comment, and the comments show up as green. Things that are called keywords, okay, which are commands or specialized words in the Turing language, appear as bold black. Okay, so if I type the keyword put to output something to the screen, it appears as in bold black text. The next thing that we've seen a little bit are strings, or what are sometimes called literals. They appear as red, and I can make sure that this is a literal by putting it in quotation marks. So if I put hi there and my quotation marks, that whole string or that whole literal appears red. The next color that you're going to see is blue, and these are for things called identifiers. Now you're going to see these a bit more when we talk about variables later on in the unit, but if I do something like var name, you see the word name comes up in blue here because that is an identifier. It identifies that variable. And this is a string variable here. So some other useful things here, I'll just add another comment down here. If you press the F2 key, it adds formatting to your program. So notice here formatting or spacing. So notice here we've got all of these things are sort of put together like this. If I press F2, what you'll see is those things get nicely spread out. Okay? So after you type in your program, you hit F2 and it spaces it out nicely for you. If you hit the F1 button, so F1, that runs your program. So that's the quickest way to run it. If I hit F1, it'll run this and it'll pop up the output window, which you can't see because I'm only recording the typing window here. Now let's say we have made some mistakes in our coding that, and it's going to happen, especially when you're learning, you're going to make all kinds of mistakes here. So I'm going to take off that quotation mark there, and I'm going to spell the string wrong and things like that. When I try to run it, so I'm going to press F1 again, it highlights these errors for me, and it gave that little ding to let us know that we've made some mistakes. So each line where there is an error is in gray, and the part that Turing has a problem with shows up in this dark black here. Okay, so I've got two errors here that you can see in dark black. It also tells us down here at the bottom, it gives us a little bit of cryptic information about what it thinks the error is. It says here string literal ends at the end of the line. So here it's talking about this first error that I have right here, and what it's telling us is that our string, we get to the end of the line and our string literal just ends. It's trying to tell us that what we need is another quotation mark right here. And when I fix this error, notice, or I just type something on that line, all of that highlighting goes away. Now if I want to go to the next error, if I hit F5, F5 goes to the next error. So if I'm back up here, put my cursor back up here, and I press F5, now it's jumped down to the next error, and it tells me down here at the bottom, strin has not been declared. It's saying that it has a problem with what this is. So if I add the G in here, then that works pretty good here. Okay, so now I can run my program and everything seems good. So I'm going to just save this, Control S, and those are just some things to keep in mind as you're starting to type in programs and write code using Turing. Another couple of little things, I mean, take a look at these menus up here. Most of the stuff that you're going to need is up in here. One thing that you might need sometime is sometimes when you're writing a program, some of the stuff, some of the lines that you've typed in here of code, you might want to not appear in your program when you go to run it because it's giving you an error or something. If you highlight it and then go to Edit and then click on Comment Range, that'll turn that into a comment. Everything that you highlight goes into a comment. And if I want to get that back, I can highlight it again, hit Edit, and then uncomment that range, and that turns it back into regular code. Okay? So that should be enough to get you started here. So we'll end it